Good morning, everyone. Every night might not be Halloween, but one thing is certain to happen at night: your dreams. Unless you pull an all-nighter and have lots of drinks. But even when you're drunk, you're low-key dreaming. I hope you had great dreams while it lasted, because after this video essay, you'll forever remember the man that haunts you in your nightmares. Though, maybe you'll appreciate him once you hear, at least in my opinion, he's the greatest horror movie villain there is to date. Here's why. Freddy Krueger is certainly known to be one of the top horror movie villains of all time. Hell, if you ask anyone to name some Halloween villains or monsters, Freddy Krueger has a good chance of being named. Or if you think of all the spookiest slasher films there is out there, what usually comes to mind? You probably think of Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, and Freddy Krueger. He's legitimately always somewhere when people think of the horror genre. You'll probably see at least one person wear a green and red sweater of some sort at a Halloween party, or you'll hear Freddy Krueger get mentioned in a rap song, for crying out loud. There's no debate he's a classic character. But what even makes him stand out? Have you ever thought about why he's at the top? These are the reasons why I truly believe Freddy Krueger is the best horror movie villain of all time. The first reason being, I believe he has creative aesthetics. Now, I'll credit my brother to some of the stuff I'm about to say here, as the first point we'll go over is a bit of a mixture of what we both have been saying to each other about Freddy Krueger. As far as aesthetics go, Freddy is unique. I'm not trying to diss on other horror movie icons here, I promise, but a lot of them are kind of the same thing. Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, Leatherface, and Ghostface, for example, are all literally killers that have some sort of mask on and a weapon that's kind of the same to slash their victims. Obviously, all of them are not literally the same, like Leatherface's chainsaw is different from a kitchen knife and machete, and Ghostface is definitely more talkative than the others mentioned, so on and so forth. But if you think about it, they're all killers with a mask on that use a weapon to slash people. And then some other horror icons like Pennywise and Chucky are maybe a little different, but at the same time, we've already seen killer clowns and killer dolls. Pennywise and Chucky were executed well, but again, we've already seen it before. But what about Freddy? I don't know about you, but you probably can't think of killers that are like him. Freddy's face is ugly as hell, but he's not afraid to show it. You probably can't think of many killers with a burnt face, a hat on, a sweater on, and has claws. But probably the most creative thing about him is he shows up in your dreams, or should I say, nightmares. It's like, he's real, but he kind of isn't. You'll get slashed in real life from him, but not if you're awake. He prays after children, and his design was meant for especially children to remember him. If you ever ask a kid what he or she saw in their nightmare, they'll say, oh, the guy with the burns, the guy with the hat, the guy with the claws, the guy with the sweater, the green and red sweater, that is. I remember his name was Freddy. Like, that's just so easy to remember. Other killers definitely would be remembered, but describing them I think would be a little tough for them. If you had someone listen to a kid and there's like a professional drawer to try and draw out what they hear the kid saying, or maybe there's a kid drawing a spooky drawing of what they saw, Freddy definitely would be the easiest to draw. Also, can we talk about that theme song? I mean, come on. Almost everyone knows that having great music can truly uplift the movie, and adding in a nostalgic theme song to a character is the same story. I'm not so sure if any scary slasher will have a more iconic theme song than Michael Myers, but Freddy certainly is a close second. When you're in your dreams and you start hearing that dreaded theme song and you see Freddy's silhouette and also hearing his voice, which we'll get to in a second, that's already keeping your heart rate at an unhealthy speed. The second reason why I believe he's the greatest horror movie villain of all time is because he's almost realistic. I say almost, cause yeah, sure, at the end of the day, it's all fiction. Freddy's backstory and how he got his powers, I feel, is a little all over the place, but most people would probably just say Freddy got his powers from something called dream demons. I don't think if Freddy Krueger was getting burnt in real life, he would have actually met dream demons and he has all these powers and stuff. And yeah, sure, there are some iconic horror movie villains that probably are more realistic than him, like Leatherface. But as far as supernatural villains go, say he did find those dream demons at the right time. You have to admit that what he's able to do in your nightmares is at least a little more realistic than what other slashers can do in real life. Jason Voorhees and Michael Myers are great characters, but sometimes their brute strength is pretty obviously fiction, and there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. But seeing Freddy use quite literally whatever he wants to do in your dreams is very scary. You can't say it doesn't make sense. It's a dream. Nothing makes sense in a dream, and he takes advantage of that. But it's not just his crazy abilities. Even his backstory and who he chases after is, sadly, a realistic scary situation. Like, disturbingly scary. He preyed on children while he was a human, and as a supernatural demon, he goes after young kids and teenagers. But the worst part of all that is that he chases after them when they're extremely vulnerable, when they're asleep. I know in context we shouldn't like someone who's an absolute creep and chases after young kids while they sleep, but we are basing this off of what makes a great horror movie villain. I mean, just saying all that probably makes you fear Freddy even more now. What a creep. And also a trash talker, because this leads to the next point and the last point, which is he rubs salt into the wounds. One thing that makes Freddy terrifying is that he loves to prolong the buildup to your death. Most slasher movies show the slasher / anyone and dice them up with ease, all while doing this without any hesitation and no time wasted. Just, don't need you, bye. Freddy still thinks the same, but he slashes in different ways. For one thing, he talks. Trash talks. And he loves to show his dominance and how much you have no chance against him before you die. He hurts himself and regenerates, showing that he will be just fine. You? Not so much. He likes to tell you stuff you don't want to hear, because he thinks, why not put vulnerable children into more vulnerability? Why not have them hate what I say, what I do? They can't stop me. I'm going to win. I enjoy this. Therefore, I'm gonna have fun with it. You know, something that my brother one time said that made me think differently about movie villains is, if you hate them, then they're probably a well-made villain. Now, it's one thing if you hate them from a technical viewpoint, in which maybe their backstory doesn't make sense, or maybe their powers are unrealistic and or overpowered. Maybe you hate them because the acting is horribly done, or their costume design sucks, but it's another thing to hate them because they're messing with your favorite characters, giving them real challenge, getting in their way of success. Now, A Nightmare on Elm Street definitely isn't a movie franchise that focuses heavily on their protagonist. It's obviously just about Freddy and how creative they can get with his slashes, but man, put Freddy into a different movie franchise where the protagonists are focused on much more, man, I bet you would hate Freddy more than like him. In the end, you definitely can't deny the creativity of Freddy Krueger. I know I certainly can't, considering all the amount of times I gave him praise, like dressing up as him for Halloween, twice, and acting as him in my spin-off video series that I thankfully can't find the videos to anymore. Freddy has always been a classic to me, and it seems like the majority of the world agrees. But I'm still thankful I got the chance to dive a little deep explaining how he got the recognition he has now. And if you haven't heard of him, or maybe you have heard of him but you don't know much of him, I'm happy I got to explain to you why you'll never have good dreams again. But you'll probably see him and be like, hey, before you slash me, big fan. You're honestly a very unique character. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed listening to me praise a horror movie villain, then maybe you'll enjoy listening to me praise a VTuber, or 2 NFL content creators, an anime scene, an anime character. Anyway, I post monthly video essays in hopes to change the perspective of media and to start spreading more praise and positivity throughout the whole entire world. And if you subscribe, you won't miss another month of video essays. Thank you for watching, and tell me how your meetup with Freddy goes. If you make it, that is.